Randy considers the YMCA her lifeline, especially the pool. Randy weighs more than 300 pounds and has borderline diabetes, but she controls her blood sugar and keeps her bright outlook on life by swimming every day for about 45 minutes. Randy overcame any self-consciousness about her weight for the sake of her health, and those who swim with her and share the open locker room are proud of her. If only the millions of others beset with chronic health problems recognize the inestimable value to their physical and emotional well-being of regular physical exercise. The single thing that comes close to a magic bullet in terms of its strong and universal benefits is exercise. Frank Hu, epidemiologist at the Harvard School of Public Health, said in the Harvard magazine, "I have written often about the protective roles of exercise. It can lower the risk of heart attack, stroke, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, depression, dementia, osteoporosis, gallstones, diverticulitis, falls, erectile dysfunction, peripheral vascular disease, and 12 kinds of cancer." The proportion of greenhouse gases has increased significantly since the Industrial Revolution. Humans began burning fossil fuels, particularly coal, in a big way, to drive steam engines for industry and generate electricity. In addition to escalating coal use after the Industrial Revolution, there came the widespread use of another fossil fuel, petroleum, for transport. At the beginning of the 20th century, annual global oil output was about 150 million barrels of oil. Now that amount is extracted globally in just 2 days. Fossil fuels are classed as non-renewable sources of energy, formed from decayed plants and animals over hundreds of millions of years. Burning fossil fuels releases billions of tons of carbon dioxide that has been locked away in the earth for millions of years. Humans are adding billions of tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere each year. Three basic ingredients are required for a thunderstorm to form: moisture, rising unstable air, and a lifting mechanism. The sun heats the surface of the earth, which warms the air above it. If this warm surface air is forced to rise, it will continue to rise as long as it weighs less and stays warmer than the air around it. As the air rises, it transforms from the surface of the earth to the upper levels of the atmosphere. The water vapor it contains begins to cool, releasing the heat and condenses into a cloud. The cloud eventually grows upward into areas where the temperature is below freezing. Some of the water vapor turns to ice, and some of it turns into water droplets. Both have electrical charges. Ice particles usually have positive charges, and rain droplets usually have negative charges. When the charges build up enough, they are discharged in a bolt of lightning, which causes the sound wave we hear as thunder. On the 7th February 2008, thunderstorms ripped through the eastern parts of Australia. Winds gusting over 90 kilometers per hour brought down trees on houses, power lines, and roads. The city of Perth, Western Australia, had its wettest February since 1992, where more than 40 millimeters of heavy rain fell and caused a 50-day drought to end. Learning a language in the classroom is never easy, and quite frankly, it's not the way that most people would choose to learn if they had other options. Having said that, there are plenty of reasons for keeping languages on the school curriculum. For one thing, a fair number of students go on to take jobs in business and commerce that require a basic knowledge of a second language. When you talk to young employees in top companies, it seems that they had a career plan from the start. They were motivated to find additional things to put on their CVs, and of course, language is one of those added, but significant extras. The assignment that I'm going to set for the holiday period is one that we've given students for a number of years. It's quite practical and will allow you to get out and about. It's no good being shut up in your rooms all the time. It does have a written element too. Basically, it's a data gathering exercise, and there are two choices with regard to how you collect the data. We'll go through those in a moment. I'm also going to give you a link to an internet site that is, well, it's critical that you review this before you do anything, as it provides a lot of guidance on data presentation, both in terms of how you plot it, its diagrammatic form, and also its description, which has to be clear. In its short life, the Internet has become an agent of revolutionary change and is one of the fastest tools to promote and defend freedom and to facilitate democratic access to information and knowledge. It has emerged as one of today's greatest instruments of progress and has gradually become a part of the vital infrastructure of global, social, economic, cultural, and political life. The Internet's effect on our lives is pervasive. Over the past decade, the use of email, the web, and blogs have become part of the daily routine of more than 1 billion Internet users. Today, the Internet access touchpoints have outgrown the traditional PC-based Internet browsers, Internet Explorer, Firefox, the desktop applications, mobile phones and satellite navigational devices, and vehicles and living rooms. More and more people are buying movie tickets, air tickets, travel packages, railway tickets, and paying bills online. Online gaming is projected to increase by 141% by 2011 in the Asia-Pacific region, and mobile gaming to increase by 119% by a leading gaming industry. Very soon, we will see the dawn of the video game age, when video will be used for buying, communicating, learning, and socializing, blocking, etc. The Internet revolution is yet to happen in India, like the way it has happened with cell phones and cable TV. While it's common to see everyone from auto drivers to senior citizens with cell phones, you will rarely find an auto driver who visits a cyber cafe to check his email. This has to do with opportunity cost involved in spending time in cyber cafes, and most importantly, the lack of services to target a large part of India. The Internet too largely uses American Standard Code for information interchange. This alienates many communities from the boon of computers and the Internet. The fact remains that most of India's billion people are denied access to the Internet, and not only because they don't have a connection or a computer. The digital revolution is leaving them behind because they don't speak English, the dominant language of the web. Even if there is room for further growth among English language users in India, far greater growth could be unleashed. This week we're going to be continuing our discussion of women in society. Last week we looked at a number of issues relating to women in education. If you remember, we discussed women both at school and at university. Today, we're going to be considering the roles that women play in the workplace. Again, we'll start by taking a historical perspective that impacted on women, and education also had a major influence on their working lives. In the second half of the lecture, I'll concentrate on the situation in Europe today, and I'll invite you to suggest how you think things are likely to develop over the next decade. To be honest, the biggest problem for most undergraduate students in terms of the academic writings is not only adapting to a far more structured and formal style, but also learning how to ascertain the difference between important, valid information and unnecessary or even irrelevant material. In my experience, I would say it takes students their first year, if not longer, to appreciate what is required and to start to implement those requirements in their writing. What they really should be doing, if they are struggling with written assignments, is to seek help from the excellent support services which are available at the university.
In animals, a movement is coordinated by a cluster of neurons in the spinal cord called the central contract pattern generator 4. This produces signals that drive muscles to contract rhythmically in a way that produces running or walking, depending on the pattern of pulse. A simple signal from the brain instructs the CPG to switch between modes such as going from a standstill to walking,